Hello, good evening, and welcome to an exciting moment to talk business, and it's Business 101. My name is Blyden Ukem. In Business 101, we look at the nitty-gritty of businesses. We x-ray the very important information that you need to build businesses and grow businesses, and probably also have to market businesses. Today, we'll be looking at an in-depth analysis of business of filmmaking, the business of filmmaking. But we'll begin with an outline with the Nollywood industry, how important Nollywood industry has been, and the growth and impact of it. To put the financial impact of Nollywood on the socio-economic landscape in proper perspective, we must consider the known fact that the Nigerian movie industry is currently ranked the second largest film industry globally, with the financial value of the firm, the film industry, put at over $6.4 billion as of 2021. The cinema of Nigeria, often referred to informally as Nollywood, consists of films produced in Nigeria. Its history dates back to as early as the late 19th century and into the colonial era in the early 20th century. Looking at the business of filmmaking. Filmmaking is a business, and like any business, it needs management. You have to know how many people you will need on set, hire them in advance, and keep the schedule as much as possible. There's also the necessity of networking. In the film industry, as with many other industries, who you know matters. There is a case of on-set logistics. The actual event of filming is relatively small part of the filming and the filmmaking process, but it's incredibly complex. The actors are the most visible part, but not only the actors are relevant in filmmaking. There are assistants to organize the schedules. There are stand-ins and stunt doubles and wardrobe mistresses. Behind the camera, there is a lot more than the director. There are cameramen, lighting, and sound technicians, people who just make sure that continuity is correct. Makeup artists, the list goes on and on and on. Getting them all in the right place at the right time is a huge logistic feat. But let's look at post-production, the role it plays in filmmaking, promotion and marketing. And all these cost money. Just like in every business, when you start, there's usually one thing in mind: profits. Business is profitability, as profitability is business. Today we x-ray the very best of filmmaking and look at the nitty-gritty and the details in filmmaking. We'll go on a short break. When we return, we'll get talking with our guest. Don't go anywhere.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. I remain committed.
security,
Education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone in recent decades. Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
Welcome back, and it's Business 101. My name is Blyden Ukem. Today we'll be talking about the business around filmmaking. If you're around Nigeria, you'll notice that the productivity of Nigerian films, or what many would call Nollywood, has grown over time. The interest and the peculiarities and intent and popularity has been massive all around Africa and the world. But a lot of work is involved in the production of these films. And one key index in the production of these films will be the idea of making profit, visibility, popularity, probably winning awards. That is what we'll want to talk about today. We'll x-ray all these around filmmaking and the nitty-gritty within it, what we need to know in terms of producing movies in Nigeria. My guest will join the show in a moment, but while we're waiting for my guests, businesses are driven by information, and the information leads to successes in business. We'll also look at what you need to do in order to be successful in becoming a filmmaker. My guest is standing by, and my guests are filmmaker experts, a professional in filmmaking, Mr. Kingsley Omoefe. Mr. Kingsley, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
So good to have you on the show. And we'll not be talking with Kingsley Omoefe alone. We'll also have Ajalaja Stanfirm being part of this conversation. He's also a filmmaker who's got an experience in this area. Mr. Stanfirm, good to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
How are you enjoying the love celebration that's going on in the world at the moment?
If the question is for me, I think I'm on top of it because today is actually my birthday.
All right, so good to have you on the show. I'm excited to have you. It's a huge topic. We want to look at the business of filmmaking. You two are quite experienced. So let's begin from here. Basically, when people see movies and movies being produced or the outcome of movies, many people don't know the work that is involved, the sequence, at different stages, the structures. So the picture would always be, what is filmmaking all about? Let's start from there. I'll begin with you, Ajalaja. What is filmmaking all about? When we're talking about filmmaking, what are we talking about? Is it different from the typical skits we see on social media? What is basically filmmaking?
Oh, thank you very much. Okay, filmmaking basically it's a process. It's a process of putting motion pictures together, right? That's filmmaking. But if you want to talk about the skits and all the other short film, they are all part of filmmaking. But professionally, there is more to filmmaking than just using a phone. Filmmaking, basically, answering to your question, is a process of putting the motion pictures together.
Well, a person who doesn't really know much would then ask a question, what do you refer by motion picture then? What's motion picture? Then we can add up the conversation.
Good. Okay, great. Let me break it down to the layman's understanding. You know, motion picture basically has to do with frames put together. Now, I'll still break that down, yeah? You know, when you snap a picture, right? That is one frame,
Yeah.
all right? Now, when you use a camera for a video, you're putting frames together, all right? Now, putting motion pictures together to get a film means going through all the processes of putting a video together and the end product of it. If I want to further break that down, it means that for you to have a film, you have to go through the process of development, to the process of pre-production, production, post-production, and even distribution. Those are now before distribution. After post production, you have a film. All right. Now the process of putting that film together is filmmaking.
Okay, thank you. Amarfa, let me come to you. If you really agree to what he said, what would be the first consideration when you want to make a film? What are you looking forward to? Are you looking forward to the money you're about to get in making a film? Are you looking forward to probably an idea or a structure? Is it basically about the niche you have in your production processes?
Well, basically, for everybody, either a filmmaker, as a business person, or as an art filmmaker, you have a motivating factor. You have everything that drives you to do a film. So, if we're talking about the business of filmmaking, basically, what my first step would be is how I'm going to make the money back. If I'm going to get a money out from somewhere, and my mind will tell me if I get this 10 million from somebody, how much I'm going to make back. That would be a major fulcrum for what I'm going to do. So, having said that, at the back of mind, I'm going to look for a very good script that will resonate amongst everybody, that people will see at the end of the day and say, okay, this is a very good film. So for me, I look for a very good script and then look out for good actors and then good crew that will make sure that whatever I'm going to do at the end of the day, to convert this whole thing from the process of filmmaking to reality, being as a business, come to friction. So for me, I'll go get a very good script first and foremost, and get good hands that will work with me to get a good production at the end of the day. So that's what I'll do first.
Okay, thank you very much. For Ajala Just Stand Firm, let's move to the business of filmmaking. We'll get to talk about the processes later. When you look at the business of filmmaking, one thing comes to mind. Not every business is work. Even if you're doing a business of probably selling crayfish, most people will make money, some will not. Probably the number of people who end up making money seem to be less compared to those who make money. So the question for me would be this. What makes people not to make money will likely be risk factors in businesses. What is the biggest risk in filmmaking? For example, I might listen to you and I feel I have a thought of going into filmmaking. Maybe have been acting or been directing somewhere. Maybe it could start from a church drama. And I think I can make money from filmmaking. But not everyone gets to make money. So the question would be, what are the biggest risks in this industry? I can hear you. What are the biggest risks? Okay, I get that. But here is it.
People make money from film. Yes.
Yeah, many people get to make money from film, and many people lose money from filmmaking. Many people lose money from filmmaking, isn't it? And the reason they lose money would be that many people do.
You win some, you lose some. So you continue doing. But the good thing about filmmaking that if you lose a film for the first time, you won't have the same problem anymore. You already know the mistake that you made from the first film. So what you're going to do the second and third one, you're going to make returns from you that will cover the first one that you made a mistake from. So it's just like every other business. But like I always say to people, learn from your mistakes. Then you go forge ahead and you make gain, you make profit for the new one and the one that you've done the previously. So that's how it works.
So that's why I'm asking the question.
Let me clear up on that.
All
Let
right.
me clear up on that. Okay, now, when you want to make a film, the first thing you need to understand is information. You don't just wake up to go produce a film. You need to see the end from the
your last
beginning
question is,
as a business
the line is a
person.
bit.
All right. So
Go
if
ahead.
you want to create a film, the reason why most people don't make money from film business is because sometimes they are ignorant. They are ignorant of the
True.
business. What they see is filmmaking, not business.
Okay.
Business,
So they
right?
just go out there to produce, and you need to understand your market. You need to have the information of your market. You need to know what your
Yes.
people like. Filmmaking, it's you're selling a product to these people, right? Before you sell a product, you have to go through your SWOT analysis and understand your market before you even delve into it. All right. Now, so the reason why most people don't make money back from film business is because they just go out there to produce the film without consulting the industry, without understanding what is out there. It's a creative business, right? Now, to every creativity comes with a pattern of finance.
I
You
didn't get
have
that.
when you create, you need to understand that you are going to finance this product. So sometimes some people create beautiful ideas but do not think about the business perspective of that idea, and they fall off the radar because they never plan for it. Okay, so for me, I'll tell you for short, if you want to create a film, understand the business in filmmaking before you create that content, before you even start your story, which is the first thing.
Can you give
Having
us
that
examples?
information is very important.
Can you give us examples? The business around it. Just share some examples in it.
Good. Good. Now, this is it, right? When you create a content, when you create a good film, right? There are markets where you sell your film,
Yes.
right? Let's
Yes.
say the TVs and the SVOD markets, all right? Now,
You have to expatiate. Many people don't get to understand that.
okay, subscription on video on demand, that's
Okay.
SVOD.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
So now, if you're making a film, you have to know where you want that film to be. If you want that film to be on Netflix, if you want that film to be on Amazon Prime, you want that film to be on TV, you need to understand from the beginning that this is the product I want to create and this is where my product is going, right? Now, when you do that, that will enable you to know the particular kind of cameras that you should use for that content. All right. Now, when you
Right.
have your camera, including the crew and the set of persons that you need to employ for that story, right? Now, if you put all that together, the next thing is what is the budget, right?
Okay.
If you know you are making this thing for TV, all right, you should know what TVs pay before
Okay.
you create a film. If you're making this film for Netflix, you should know the boundaries at which Netflix pays before you create the content for Netflix.
Okay.
All right. Now, if you have that in mind, it will be easy for you to know what type of story to produce. Because it is business and business is all about profit, you know that if you finish making this film, let's say you produce a film for 3 million naira, right? And the TV stations get your film for 2 million, you're running at loss, isn't it? So
Okay.
if you know that the TV station would buy a film for 2 million naira, I think you should be producing around 1.5 million,
Okay.
right? So understanding your market before you go to produce a film is very important and it's key, so you don't have to run at losses.
Okay. Kingslow Morphe, I have a feeling you might have something to add regarding that. Go ahead.
Yes, I agree with you totally, but I just want to add that it's always better that you have your timing where what market you're going for and what kind of equipment you're going to need and the kind of cast and crew that you need for your film. There's no point going to start a film without knowing your budget. If you know your budget is 3 million, you know you cannot take higher a specific a different a high-end kind of camera. You just take a normal camera that can do well for you for that kind of market. So if you know that you have a big budget, I can go to the cinemas or you can go for the SVOD's platform, talking about Netflix and co, then you know that you're going to work toward that direction because you have the money, the budget at the back of your mind already. So if you have that at the back of your mind, like I said, then you can now hire the kind of camera and the kind of crew.
Okay. So while we're looking at,
For me, distribution is very key. So you must know where. Pardon me?
I'm with you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, so what I'm saying is that you should film and what budget you have before you start at all. And also going back to starting.
Okay, the connection is slightly bad. The
A
connection
lot of
is.
people just come in and see that maybe they just talk to actors. Most of the actors that you see on TV, they don't even know the business of filmmaking. They most of them don't know the business of filmmaking. So, but people who have money, they feel that this is the actor that knows about filmmaking. So they go meet the actor, and that's what don't even.
Okay, let's look at something. Let's look at something regarding filmmaking. What have learned, have gotten from your conversation so far?
You want to go into yes, if you want to go, hello.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's look at something.
Like if you want to go into any business.
The connection is
if
like.
you want to go into any business, you must do a bit of background research, right? So when you do a bit of research to know those who can deliver for you before you go into the industry. So don't just come in and feel that the actors know someone. Look for the filmmaker, look for the director, look for the producers. They will guide you through on what you need to do. So at the end of the day, you don't.
All right, thank you very much, Kinslow Morphe. Let's look at some other thing. You've talked about the area of funding, which we'll get to X-ray even further. You've also talked about knowledge, meeting the right people to give you the understanding of things, which seem like an X-ray of the limitations in the industry for probably a startup, someone who wants to go into the industry as a new person, a newbie in the industry, who doesn't really have enough knowledge, is bound to fail. So they have to align with those who have the knowledge. But let's look at another angle to it. There's always a conversation about niche. There's always a conversation about niche. There's always a conversation of what works and a conversation of what sells. Because everyone is trying to sell a product, whether it's a film that you met or a skit. I want to get in this direction. If you want to go into making a film, what kind of movie or film would you be looking at? What is selling in Nigeria? Echalaja, you can take that one.
Sell depends on your audience.
So everything sells depending on the audience. Is that it?
Now, let me come in. Let me come in on that. Right. Personally, right. If I want to do my SWOT analysis on what to produce, right, I would produce what the people want, right?
Okay.
And you may ask me, what is your assessment of what people want?
That was the next
right?
question.
Now, if you pick your phone right now, right, and you're holding your phone, and if you go through content in the internet, right, you discover that the content that keeps you glued to your phone, most of the contents are content that makes you laugh. All right. Now that's a cue for me. Now this is personal, right?
Okay.
Generally, I look at the market. I look at the people. I look at Nigerians first. Those are my primary audience, right? I look at Nigerians first. What do Nigerians like? I want to produce a film, right? That is what I look at. That's what I think about.
From a business point of view.
Yes, that's my business idea. Right now, generally, I want to talk for creativity. Yeah, there is no rule that says you must produce this kind of movie before it will sell.
Okay.
Creativity is vast, right? Now, whatever you have in there,
Yes.
maybe that thing may be unique, or it is unique. All right. But the most important thing is, it is not what you have, it is how you give what you have. It is not what you say, it is how you say it. It is not the film idea that you have, it is how you produce it. All right. You may have a wonderful idea and produce something, you may produce garbage from a very beautiful idea. That's why it is key that when you have an idea, where the story starts from, your development state, you need to cue into that idea and look out for people who are very good at it, people who have results. All right? Now, if you want to take a risk, it's a risk at the end of the day, yeah? So if you want to take a risk and produce, and you're convinced within you that this one must sell, right? And you put in your resources, that is you taking the risk. Now, if you are a businessman like me, and you be like, this is Nigeria, these are the things that these people love. Now, if you look at the trend of films recently, right? You discover that in our films, we now have this action part in our films, right?
Yeah.
Now, before this time, if you bring in 30 Days in Atlanta, that AY's movie, right?
Yeah.
You have the old comedy thing, right? And it was moving from that trend, and it moves. The industry moves gradually, and only those who are smart enough will be able to keenly understand how it is moving. So if you do not have enough resources to create a niche out there, you better produce something that the people will easily connect with. You
So
understand?
let's look at
Okay.
let's look at creating a niche and following the trend. How does that work?
Okay.
Because for me, it seems like looking at two different things in the market. You're talking about you being able to create your own niche in the market, so you're known for this. So if you are more of the comedy maker, you're known for making comedy the most. If you're known for a different kind, now we're talking about action-packed movies from Nigeria, and it's making a lot of sense. So just share from my standpoint, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. Which part do I toe? Which part is best to toe? How difficult it is? Is it to create a niche or just to follow the trend? You might be follow, but it might not necessarily work for you.
Okay, this is it, right? You do not have to follow the trend.
Okay.
Right? You do not have to follow the trend. It's a creative business, right? It is a good film is a good film.
Okay.
Trust me.
So basically, the next question would be, what makes a good film then?
Okay, this is it. Now, a good film starts with the development stage, this story, right? You have a story, right? You will need an expert in your screenplay. You may have a good story, but you don't know how to screenplay your story. All right?
What do you mean by screenplaying a
You need
story?
an expert. Okay, now the screenplay are the people, the set of writers that create the dialogue for the film.
Okay.
Now, when you watch a movie and they're having dialogues in the film, those dialogues, the content of those dialogues, the people who create this screenplay, the people who move the story, right? Those are the guys that screenplay a movie. So a good story may be there, and if it has a bad screenplay, it's still a bad story.
Okay.
The idea, the initial idea, the story idea may be amazing. If you meet a bad script, so the only thing you need is to learn, master your craft. All right? So create a good film, master your craft, learn from the masters, learn from people who are really good at it. Don't be sentimental with creativity. Don't say, I have to give this job to this man because it's from my place, or is this, or is my father. Make sure you are picking a team of filmmakers that are prolific with what they do. Now, those set of people will together, smart brains will enable you get a good film. Trust me, when you get a good film, selling a good film is not a problem. And this is how it works, right? A good story means a crew that are very smart. You have a good pre-production process where the
Okay.
entire planning takes place, right? Now, with good crew as well, you have a very beautiful production process, right? Meaning all the content that will be gathered from that set, from the producer to the director, are all smart people, right? You are going to have good content. In film language, they will say you have good footages after your shoot, right? Now it comes to the post-production level where the editor, the sound designer, and the others need to take part of this content, right? Because you already have a good film from the field, makes it easier for the post-production team. Now you have a very good editor who further enhance the beauty of that film. Now, by an editor, I mean a person who puts the particle of every footage together to create the story itself from the post-production, right? At that end, you're going to have a good film. Now, this is where a good film is a good film phrase comes in,
All
right?
right.
After all the clever persons have worked on the film, you're going to have a that you sit down and watch, and you're going to love it. You're going to give that content to other professionals to sit down and watch. At that time, you will not need to lobby or to beg anybody to get your content. The people who buy content will come for you. When you show them your content, they will come for you. All
Really?
right? Yes. Yes. If your content is amazing, trust me,
Yes.
if your content is amazing, you do not need to beg anybody. We are learning. In Nigeria, we're still learning how to make good content, right? We are still growing. So, just because my film is not perfect does not mean we are very good or somebody's trying to pull me down. No, I may watch the film and I do not like it. All right? And in filmmaking, good is relative. Better
Absolutely.
is also relative. Every stage you are in filmmaking is relative until you are at the top of the food chain where you know what is good. Because how do you know what you have is good? Is when everybody craves for what you have. You
Okay.
know you are at that point. So a
Okay.
good content is basically putting a team of creatives who are best at their work together to create one content that is consumable and attractive to the entire audience. That's a good content for me.
Okay. Let's hear from Mr. Kinsley. Mr. Kinsley, so far, let's look at the Nigerian film industry.
Okay,
Okay.
just to add, just to add.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, just to add that a good film, basically a good film is a film where you have all the putting the right ingredients at the right proportion. Do you understand me? You don't over put too many stars in it, and you end up busting high proportion. And also, and the film out in the film, the kind of film that you put out there also matters. Like for example, people in Nigeria generally want to be entertained. Nobody wants to go to the cinema hall and be educated. We see films that are busted in the cinemas, but at the end of the day, when you put them on platforms, they do very well. A lot of films like that are bound where you see films that didn't do well, big budget film, they didn't do at the cinemas, but when you take them to Netflix or Amazon Prime, they do very well. So it's quite relative when it comes to the kind of content that need to be created for people to watch and the one that will become a good film at the end of the day. I just want to say I want to put that there. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's look at something. But before we get to talk about that, you can join the conversation via calls or send us a WhatsApp message, tell us your location, and join the conversation talking about the business of filmmaking. Whichever angle you want to come in, ask our guests the questions. They're here to answer it. Mr. Kinsley, let's look at something. While we're talking about the industry, the industry have grown from where it was yesteryears. Just talk to us about the growth pattern in the industry. Let's use Nollywood as a center of it. Where were we before? Where are we now? And where are we going to?
Yes. Well, from where we're definitely not where we used to be, or we've gone very far. We've done very well. I must say that things that we're doing now can be said to be very good compared to where we're coming from. Years ago, we used to do films that people just laugh out. We've been doing things that people people capture the imagination of people at the world. Uh, just recently, you heard of, I don't know. I mean, the first film that was shown in the song, the festival in America and all that. So a lot of things have been happening. A lot of people are coming to Nollywood, and I tell you, we've done so well, and we've progressed a lot. So we're doing very well. So I would say that we're doing very well, really.
Okay, let's also look at another angle to it. Many people get to talk about marketability or promotion or the market. There's also an issue of piracy in the market over time.
Yes, basically our films are going everywhere. People buy our films across the world, like I said. Yes, people are seeing our films in festivals, like that showed recently at the Sundance Festival. It's a big feat. You know, before you wouldn't dream of having your film at the Sundance Festival, but you see our film going to Sundance Festival, going to Berlin festivals, going to New York International Festival and all that. So our film is resonating amongst people across the world. So we're doing well. Our films are being bought everywhere, and the skies are limit, if I say that.
Okay, Mr. Stanford, let me come to you now.
Okay, please.
While we're looking at the movie industry, one key change in the movie industry has been the revolution that's coming with online platform, online systems for promotion and marketing. You mentioned Netflix. Before now, it was all about the traditional market. Most often than not, when you listen to or watch a Nigerian movie, what you hear would be a promotion to be marketed at Idumata, or probably you hear Onitsha market. Just talk to us about the differences in this market these days, what online platforms or the advent of online system and marketability has caused in the market so far.
Thank you. You know, the simple thing is that the world is moving, right? Now, you know, even from our cameras, right? Our style of making films, right? We actually moved from analog to digital, right? And every day, new cameras are being produced. And even as filmmakers, we try to create new means to further simplify the act of filmmaking. All right. Now, same thing is applicable to the distribution part of filmmaking, right? You know, these days, the internet is the real deal, right? Because virtually every adult has a smartphone. So, and you know, the reason why the reason why you're running that publicity is for people to identify with your products, isn't it? So now, going through your individual analysis, you know that the internet is the right place for you to sell your film. So the Idumota market is now like the analog way that people used to market content. The days of VCDs. All right. So we have moved from tapes to VCDs to DVDs. Now we've moved to flash drives, smart TVs, and all of that. So the era we are now, we have moved past those Idumota kind of films, right? So even like DSTV, or let's say DSTV have two parts. We have GoTV and DSTV, right? So the means with which our content can get to the audience has been further simplified. So the more, you know, the more new technologies emerge, the lesser the needs for the old ones, right? So that's what's happened. That's just the difference. We do not need those mediums again to promote our firms. Although I can still assure you that some very few minute particle of the audience out there, like people in rural environments, still identify with those markets. All right, but trust me, the world has moved past that level. We're now concentrating on new technologies and new means of promoting our content.
All right, thank you very much. At this point, we'll have to go on a break. When we return, the conversation continues. We'll be looking at the key players in the movie industries. They are the actors. We'll get to talk about the actors when we return from this break.
All right.
Welcome back. It's Business 101. My name is Blyden Ukem, and we're talking on the business of filmmaking. We've x-rayed different angles in filmmaking, talking about the production angle, distribution angle. We'll look at the market, but it's time to look at the main actors. And when I say the actors, I mean those who act the movies, the very people we see on our screens, which we're delighted with. Mention some of the big names you could think of. Well, I wouldn't help you do that, you already know. Mr. Stanford, let me come back to you in the conversation. One of the key outlook in the business of filmmaking would be to spot top-notch actors who will bring delights to the audience who are watching the movies. And the attraction is usually very huge. We'll be looking at two angles to it. The role of the actors. But first, let's look at the role of the upcoming actors. How do we source for the best actors? Because sometimes you have the very best of actors, but they are not known. So we're looking at those who are interested in acting, not necessarily the filmmakers now, but those who are interested to be major players in this. How do we get to promote or a young person who wants to become an actor or who's an actor but is talented? How do I get to blossom in the industry?
Thank you very much. Okay. Now, first of all, as a producer and a director, I will consider an actor as a product, right?
Go ahead.
Can I further?
Yeah, surely. Go ahead.
Now, let's consider an actor as a product, all
Okay.
right? If an actor is a product, how do people know that you are good for them? How do people know that they need you? You need to make yourself what? Available. So we need to promote that product. The product needs to be available. The talent in that actor, let's say the talent is the product. So the actor is the carrier of the product, right? So the actor needs to make his or him or herself available to the people who in need of that talent. Now, how do you do that? These days, the internet has further made it very easy. All right? So, you need to create. If you think you're good as an actor, because these days, like on my DMs, yeah, every day, millions of actors will be like, I am good, I am an actor, I'm an actress, I've been doing this for so long from birth. I will ask them a simple question. Have you undergone training? They'll be like, no, I have not. I'm still looking for where to. I don't. Most people have talent, but they do not want to invest on that talent, meaning that they do not even believe so much in that talent to invest in it. Others have the talent ready to invest, but have not looked out for places to invest in that talent. Acting is not simple. Acting is not just people talking on the screen. That is the finished product. As a matter of fact, before you see people talking on even the celebrities, all right, they don't give 100%. What they give is like 70 to 60%, and in post-production, editing help to enhance the quality and the level of the act. So, what you need to do as an actor is to make yourself available for the right people so they can see and identify with your talent. And most importantly, I used to say this all the time, if you're an actor, everybody has an handle. We all have handles in the internet, right? Create an handle, be it Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, wherever, TikTok, whatever. Create an handle and make yourself visible. Let people see you. All right. I would drop it at that because you have another part of the question where you said if or what we look at if it's for the celebrities. If we're looking at the celebrities and all, I didn't get that question really well, but I'll drop it. I'll drop it here for the actors. You need to put your market out there for the people to see, for them to know if they need you or not. You do not need money. You don't need someone to sleep with you or whatever. You just need to work on yourself and be credible enough so that when the opportunity come knocking, you will be experienced enough to carry it.
Self-promotion you're referring to now. But let's look at another angle. One key angle when it has to do with business would be funding. No matter what business you're doing, you did talk about it at the earlier time that you have to look at your budget, what you have in order to start the business. Let's talk about funding now. How can filmmakers, or some might say producers, how can filmmakers access funds? Let's begin from there. What are the different ways to access funds? Do you go to the bank and tell the bank, I'm producing this movie, so because I'm producing this movie, so please give me money, give me a loan? How do you get to access funds? Mr. Kingsley, you can
Well,
have
there are different means of accessing funds. There are different means of accessing funding. Yes, there are different ways of funding more fund. As what we call angel investors, are people who just feel that okay, they have enough money, they want to put it and see if something will come up. We have people who have venture capitalists who want to invest. We have distributors, film distributors who are executive producers, and of course we have the bank of industry, and other banks who are entertainment friendly. So you can access funding from people like that. Of course, you can get funding from like how we started. We got funding from selling some of our properties, selling my car, selling some of my stuff in the house, and to raise funding for doing movies. So there are different ways of getting funding for films.
What's the role of government?
Let me add to that.
Go ahead.
Let me just add to that, right? You know, it's a creative business, right? First of all,
yes,
before you can access funds, you need to have a business plan. You know, it's a business.
Or
Now,
probably
this
a
is what
business
happened
brand
to
too.
a film. Yes, this is what happened to a film. Now, you know, because it is creativity, it is your idea that you want to sell. Usually, the startup producers and directors find it very difficult because nobody wants to believe in that thing that you're projecting. You know why? Because you do not have a CV as related to that. You do not have a lineup of products that you have sold out before. So it's like a risk for them. Right? So most persons would not. That's the problem that most young producers experience. They come, they tell you the idea, but the thing is, how are you sure? They will ask you a simple question: what if it doesn't work?
Absolutely.
Nobody goes to the boundary of what if it works. No,
Because when I
it's their
invest money in something, if I'm investing money in you, I have to be sure I'll get my money back and even make profit
That's
from
it.
it.
That's
yes.
it. That's why for me, I usually advise. I have my experience. My first film started with a budget of 3,000 naira. I usually advise people. I said, if you are the first person to believe in yourself, the first person to believe in your vision may be, or your idea may be that thing that will change the world. All right? But it is yours to know first. So you need to identify with your vision, then you need to create for other people to identify. So the first thing first, like you said, if you have those angel investors, good for you. Take your vision to them, make sure you create it properly, and others will come. But trust me, the reality of the real reality of Nigeria today is that as a young producer who do not have records already, nobody wants to come and give you their money for trial and error.
All right, quickly.
Nobody wants to do that.
Quickly, our time is almost up. Quickly, let's look at it.
Okay.
There are movies that people clamor for at the end of it, the win awards. So my question is, what kind of movies get to win award? What are we looking for when we're talking about nomination for awards? Let's do that 1 minute and we're done.
Good
Did you get that?
Good films.
Say again?
See, I'll just quickly put in 30 seconds, right? Now, for your film to win an award, first of all, most people don't like submitting their films for festivals. Submit your films. There's some little amount that you have to pay to submit your film. Be visible with information and submit your films for festival. Create a good film, applying all the theories and everything that needed to be added to a film. Then that film is good enough for competition. You need to be sure of yourself that this content is good enough. Put it out there for people to see. Then they will nominate it. That's one part of it. So I'll just give some space to Mr. Ife so that he can wrap it up.
Okay, Mr. Kingsley, just
Okay,
wrap it up
basically
for us.
for films, if you want your there are basic rules for film to filmmaking. So if you want to put up your film for award, for nomination for award, you must follow those rules of filmmaking. You don't expect to just shoot films. You're like an examiner in a classroom. Answers. When questions are created, you follow the examiner's answers. That's when you have a pass. So there are rules to filmmaking, rules to cinematography, rules to lighting and everything. So if you follow those rules, then you're likely to go for win awards, international awards. In this industry, a lot of people don't really know the rules of filmmaking. They, of course, we know how to get good cameras, good crew, good lighting, good sound, and all that, good actors. But there are basic rules that you must follow in filmmaking. Once you get those basic rules done, like for example, short compositions, lighting, sound, use of colors, use of textures, use of location, how does color come to play in your filmmaking? How does sound come to play, help in storytelling? How does the camera help to drive your story forward? It's not about just putting camera and taking shots.
Yes.
You need to follow the rules of the game. So if you follow those rules of the game, then you're bound to go well and do well in film festival and getting awards, not just Nigerian awards, but international awards.
All right.
If you notice
thank you
something
very
about
much.
our awards in Nigeria, let's say to people.
Thank you, Mr. Kingsley. Our time is fast spent. We'll try to draw the curtain here. Thank you for coming on the show. Probably we'll get to have you again on the show to explain even further details on filmmaking, because we've not looked at the role of the Nigerian Institute of Filmmakers, and we've not even looked at the role of government in all of this. What policies affect what, and how do they support filmmakers? But thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Stanfirm Ajalaja. I quite appreciate you being on the show. Thank you very much. We draw the curtain on Business 101 now. My name is Blyden Ukem. Thank you for watching. We've been talking on the business of filmmaking, and that's where we say thank you for watching.